All right. It's the rest of the story about Joseph. And when we last talked about Joseph, he was still in prison. The two people that he interpreted the dreams, remember, the cupbearer was restored and went back to work for the Pharaoh, and the baker, he wasn't so lucky. So 2 years go by, and Joseph's still in prison, but he's doing pretty well. God is blessing him. He's in charge of the other prisoners. He's doing really well. God's blessing him, but he's still in prison. And so the Pharaoh has a dream. The Pharaoh has a really weird dream, and it bothers him so bad. So here's the dream. He dreamed he was at the Nile, and the Nile is a river that goes right in the middle of Egypt, and everybody goes there to bathe, and it's just a very prominent part of the country, and it goes all the way through the country, so you can't go anywhere and not be near the Nile. But anyway, so he dreamed that 7 cows, fat cows, healthy cows, came out of the Nile. And then 7 skinny, ugly cows came out and ate up the 7 healthy cows. And it woke him up. And then he went back to sleep and had another dream. And he dreamed that a stalk of corn had 7 ears on it. 7 fat ears of corn. 7 big fat ears of corn. And then out of, another stalk grows up with skinny, ugly pieces of corn, 7 ears on it. And these 7 ugly, not so good looking corns ate up the healthy corns. Oh my goodness, the Pharaoh was so bothered. He could not understand the dream, and he called all his wise men, all his magicians, and said, "Tell me the meaning of my dream. I need to know." Well, they were scratching their head. They had no idea what the dream meant. So the cupbearer, what a dummy I am all this time. I forgot about this nice young man that I met in prison. And he told Pharaoh about how this young man, young Hebrew man, this is what they called him, Hebrews. I don't know why they called him Hebrews, but now they're Hebrews. But this nice young man had told him his dream, and it had come true. Has interpreted his dream, and it came true, what he said. And remember what Joseph said? Joseph said, "It's not me, it's God." Remember that? Okay, so the cupbearer tells Pharaoh about that, and they go get Joseph. And of course, they got to give him a shave. They got to clean him up, give him a nice bath, put on some nice clothes so he can go in front of the Pharaoh and talk to him. So they bring him out, and he comes out and he talks to the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh says, "I really need to know the meaning of this dream. It is just keeping me awake." And so he tells Joseph, well, first Joseph said, "It's not me, it's God. God will tell you the meaning of the dream." So he tells him about the fat cows coming out of the Nile, and then the skinny, ugly cows coming out and eating up the fat cows. And then he tells him about the fat corn. And then he tells him about the skinny corn eating up the fat corn. And he said, "Now what does this mean?" And Joseph said, "Pharaoh, God has given you a gift. God is telling you what he's about to do. And the fat cows, the 7 fat cows, are 7 really good, productive years. Good years to make a lot of food. And then the next 7 years will be famine. So if you're not wise with all your stuff, then you won't have any food to eat when the 7 years of famine come." Famine is when there's no rain. And when there's no rain, there's no crops. You can't grow anything. If you can't have anything growing, your animals can't eat. So you don't have any animals. So you have no food. So that's what famine is. No rain. No rain means no growing food. No animals can't eat. We can't eat. We have no food. So it's going to take somebody really wise to take care of, to do the right thing during the 7 years of rain and good, productive growing. Somebody to store it away, not eat it all up. And so Pharaoh said, where am I going to find such a person? And he looks around his wise men, and he looks back at Joseph, and he says, you're the guy. God told you the meaning of my dream. God gave you the message. So you must be the guy who can manage the good 7 years and store up food. And then you can manage during the famine. And that's what happened. And so in the 7 good years, they took a fifth of all of the produce, all the corn that was grown. They took a fifth of it. So if you have 5 things, they took 1, and the other 4 people got to eat and do whatever they wanted to with, but the 5th stayed in the storehouse. And Joseph managed it all so that when the 7 years of famine came, they would have food. Okay, they're very smart, huh? Well, guess what? When the famine came, the famine was for all the countries around. So all the people around were coming to Joseph, and Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of it all. He gave Joseph nice clothes. He gave Joseph a chain to wear around his neck. He gave him a wife. He gave him a chariot. People bowed down to him, the respect kind. Oh man, it was good. I kind of think I'm going to cut it off right here because there's more to the story, and I don't want to keep you longer than this. So come back and watch the next video because it's going to be really exciting because some special people are coming.